Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Podfathers, the best parenting podcast in the universe, tolerated by Barstool Sports. It's your pal Clem here. It's the big man down in Jersey. Yep, let me point the other way on the YouTube. The big man down in Jersey. Just the two of us. It's just me and Large right now. Chapsy is in New York. He had the rundown, but then it became the bracket. He has some sort of a show that is not the Podfathers of a show that he actually does co-host. So it's just me and the big man going on. What is up, Raj?
Not a lot, Clem. How are you? How's
Fantastic.
this mic sounding today? Am I good?
I can't hear out of my left ear because I sat next to a crazy person for 3 days straight in a stream, but that might just be my ear that's broken instead of your mic.
You have the 100% permission of mine. And believe me, I'm not a tough guy. A lot of people can take me, but I think I got you. You could punch me in the face with absolutely no repercussions if I ever complain about my time spent with Frank the Tank again. You were a saint sitting down, for 2 games, correct?
3.
Large.
3 games. The Mets played 3 games. They lost the first, won the second, lost the third. I don't know how much we went over on this podcast because I mentioned it in a few, but I don't know if we ever mentioned it here. About 6 months ago, I had, as I occasionally do, there's a few different artists that I like to see if they're touring. And I said, let's see if Hall & Oates is touring anytime soon. And I saw that they were going to be at a certain casino that I will not mention. And they were there. And I said to my wife, would you like to go get tickets to Hall & Oates? She said, sure, that sounds good. She really didn't care either way. And I threw it out to a couple of friends who you met at the tailgate. My friends Annie, Jamie, Viv, and Jamie. And they were like, hey, that sounds great. And then Annie, who's a lovely girl, delightful girl, big time Barstool fan, said, it's my husband Jamie's 40th birthday.
Whoa.
I'm gonna book us a suite. We're going to all stay overnight. We're gonna leave the kids at home, and we're gonna go to Hall & Oates, and we're gonna have some drinks. It's NFL Sunday. The Giants play at 9:30. The entire afternoon to ourselves, just having a ball. And then the New York Mets decided to gag up the division in the last week of the season, which meant they had to play in the wild card round this weekend instead of starting today as we record October 11th. And then I said, well, as long as they don't play on Sunday, I'll be fine. They played on Sunday. And instead of going to Hall & Oates with my lovely wife and some of my best friends in the world, I was sitting next to a goddamn rabid cartoon character that people said, you were being mean to him, you were bullying him. I took as much as I could do before I just fired back. At one point I said, Frank's accused me of watching Game of Thrones during the last couple innings of the game. And I said, Frank, I am not going to spend the last couple of minutes of my favorite team's 101-win season being with someone that we don't like, as in no Mets fans like being around Frank the Tank. No problem with Frank the Human, Frank the Tank, the Mets fan. And people saying, Clem, you're being so bully, you're being so mean. No. I put up with about as much as I could, and then the sainthood officially wore off. So I missed a Hall & Oates show. That's basically the long thing of it. My favorite baseball team's wonderful dream season is over. Missed Hall & Oates with the kids or without the kids and the wife. And that was the worst part, Large. I came back at about midnight for the 3rd night in a row, got home around 1 o'clock in the morning. And instead of just being at a suite with my friends, drinking and sleeping late, I woke up to the kids at 8 o'clock in the morning for the 3rd day in a row, absolutely exhausted. So that is your parenting nightmare of the week, presented by absolutely nobody. So
I will tell you right now, I will add to I will put logs on the fire. Annie had sent me a text message. I was taking a dump, and she said, so-and-so looks fantastic, with a link. And this so-and-so has the same name as one of my nieces. So I wasn't in a rush to hit the link, but then I wound up doing it. Winds up the so-and-so was Clem's wife.
Same name,
Clem's wife was, and I've been lucky enough to, I've spent time with the Clemenza family on more than one occasion, including with the wives. And she looked stunning. I mean, she looked stunning. And you would think that she wouldn't look as good without having such an ugly husband next to her. Like, yes. It almost, and obviously your wife's a very attractive woman by herself, but with you, she's even more attractive, right? Yep. Like she's a 9, but she's married to Clem, like that type of thing. But then she comes and says, you know what? I'm no longer the after picture in the photo. I'm going to have to gussy it up a little bit. Particularly, I think she was throwing out some chum to see if she still had it at the Hall & Oates concert. and she fucking nailed it. So I didn't realize the depths of the depravity that you had to go through until I'd seen you. And by the way, me and Annie saw Annie and I had seen that Hall & Oates concert last year. It's a lot of fun.
It's
10 songs you could sing. 10.
But I had a friend who goes, do they Hall & Oates, do they have any like hits? And I go, buddy, all they got is hits. Like they all they do is they just play the bangers. It's nothing but bangers. Large, I could go through the set list. I'm not going to go through the set list. They open with Maneater.
No,
they open with Maneater, right? And then they did a Family Man cover, Out of Touch, Method of Modern Love, Say It Isn't So. You've Lost That Loving Feeling, another cover. She's Gone, Sarah Smile, Is It a Star? I Can't Go for That, right? And you're like, oh, great songs, yada yada. Then
I don't know, Is It a Star? The rest of those, and listen, I'm not a Hall & Oates guy. I've never seen them before. We just went saying, oh, we probably know a couple of those songs. You just didn't say, I know everything but one.
And when you hear some Hall & Oates songs, you go, oh, they do this? Oh, they do that? That should be the name of the group is, oh, they did this. Because that's just what happens with Hall & Oates. And then they come out for the encore, which is basically, it's like when you get the nothing but marshmallows in the Lucky Charms, and you're just like, it's nothing but treats right now. Rich Girl, Kiss on My List.
Oh,
kiss on my list.
Because your kiss is a go.
Private Eyes. And then the closer of it all, the Edwin Diaz of it, You Make My Dreams right there. And you make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
And someone said it best. They go, Hall & Oates had more hits in that encore than the Mets had in all Game 3, which is right. The Mets had 1 hit. Hall & Oates had 4 hits. They batted 4 for 4. The Mets were like 1 for 1,000 in the thing. So yeah, it was an absolute gutting thing, but I was happy to see the wife still has it. I knew she had it already. Yes. I don't know if she was looking for her second husband, but if she finds that second husband, the first one will be taking half of everything she owns. So best of luck to her out there. I'm basically married to this stupid fucking job anyway. So
shout out Mrs. Clem for making lemonade. And shout out to you for fucking eating a plate full of shit.
Full of shit for 3 days. And I didn't even see House of the Dragon, so the next day avoided the spoilers. Very good show. Are you guys doing House of the Dragon?
Hold on a second there, Clem Kwan. Well, let's stay on wives for a second because I just got off
with
yours.
Pleasure.
No. My wife fucking hates you because there was a spoiler in one of your little fucking tweets. Listen, she likes to pick things apart. Annie spends most of any show, particularly like whodunits, trying to find out who done it. Like if it doesn't come to me in a fucking fever dream, then I just kind of let it go through and it'd be like, oh, I could see it. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. She's like, oh, by the way, it was the sister. Did I say it was the sister? Yeah. It was actually the aunt. Did I say it was the aunt? And then when it winds up being one of the 10 people she mentioned, I told you it was the sister. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's one of her only flaws. So as we're doing Game of Thrones, we watch Game of Thrones and we watch the new Game of Thrones and the new Hobbit every week. That's one of the things that we do. I'm a big Tolkien guy. I actually enjoy that more than I like House of Dragons. I like Rings of Power more than House of Dragons. I know I'm in the minority. But your Game of Thrones thing had given away some sort of spoiler. I'll ask her specifically what it was. It will probably be a little spoiler, but it had something to do with the dragon being stolen. Essentially, when the young lady had died and then the kid had gone to that old dragon and stuff like that. So I don't know if it was a spoiler as much as she had known who was going to take it, who was going to be the dragon rider, or just, I don't know. But either way, because we haven't watched this week's left, and she's like, I'm going to try not to look at that asshole Clem's fuck. You know what I mean?
So this is the great debate. I've always said, I feel like Game of Thrones is one of the very few shows that cannot be canceled because it doesn't stream, even though I guess it is on all streaming because that's just the world we live in now. But back when when Thrones was on, streaming wasn't as big as it is now. It was basically your Netflix. They dump up Stranger Things on your lap and expect you. But everything else, Thrones was like watching Sunday Night Football, where if you didn't see the game, I'm not, it's not a spoiler that Patrick Mahomes threw a 90-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. We all watched it together. We made the same jokes about it on Twitter. We went about our way. However, as someone that just lived through not being able to watch the episode on Sunday night and then having to wait all through Monday and having to avoid Twitter as much as possible, which is easy to do when your favorite team guts you and you have a bunch of mouth breathers hashtagging that some guy who was wrong a million times was right one time in his life. It's easy to avoid social media for the day. However, I'm now seeing the other side of the equation. So if Annie wants to hold a grudge against me, and I know she is Italian, this grudge is something. Does she do the Maloika? Will she throw a hex on my house if I feel she feels I've been, that how we do it?
You know the fig? It's called fika. Fika. It's from Barbarossa during the Crusades. As he was out doing the Crusades, somebody had disrespected his wife, I think in Milan. And so he came back, he found the guys who were responsible, and he shoved a fig up the ass of a mule and had them dig the fig out with only their mouths. So fika is a very bad thing to say. And that's what that is. Everyone else knows it as I got your nose.
Yep.
The Italians is fika. It's very, very bad.
AJ did that to me the other day. He did his first ever I got your nose, and I was like, oh man, I love seeing that. You're gonna torture us forever. And he was like dreaming, and he said, let's go Mets in one of his dreams, and he said the Mets lose in one of his dreams. So he is well on his way to being a Mets fan, just like his old man here. So hopefully your old pal Steve Cohen can make his experience a little better. But I'll tell you, we're 0 for 1 right now, Stevie. While we're on Content Corner, I had to bring this up, big man. I don't know if this is breaking news to you. By the time that people hear this on Thursday, it will not be breaking news, but it was breaking news to me. R.I.P. Angela Lansbury.
Really? Murder she dead. She's gone, huh?
Dead. Yeah.
Oh, man. Wasn't she the teapot, too?
She was the teapot. Mrs. Potts, all-time legendary performance in Beauty and Beast.
It's the first I'm hearing about it.
I thought it might be. It might be. So I had to break the news to you. And I feel like there is a good sect of Barstool that would have no clue who Angela Lansbury was in 1,000 tries. These are two of the faces that actually know Angela Lansbury. And for me personally, reminds me of my grandma. I would go to her house. We'd watch Murder, She Wrote, probably like 3 episodes in a row and go about our day. And, for the quote unquote younger crew a little bit, they may know the whole Mrs. Potts thing right there. So I felt like the big man might have had a twisted history left turn on her at some point for all I knew. So I had to let you be the one to know that Angela Lansbury is no longer with us.
Oh, that stinks. That you just dropped it on. 96 years young, huh?
Not bad. Survived the pandemic too. Like 96 with a pandemic on your record. That's like a fucking double win. That's like 106 in my book.
Yeah, good for her. A little bit of a smoke probably when she was younger too.
Yes. I was gonna point that out. You know who? And she always reminded me of the Queen of Thorns, the one who plays. I think her name is Odella on House of Dragons. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, she was a legitimate smoke.
Yes.
Legit smoke. She was she always had on like the nun's habit almost, right? Not the Shame girl, that girl from Ted Lasso. We all know she's I love her. But you're talking about Lady Tyrell, right? The older Tyrell woman?
Diana Rigg. I'm gonna throw her up on the YouTube. She
was something. Right.
That was a sound you just made, my friend. I'll throw her up on the YouTube for people that are watching here. Diana Rigg. Absolutely.
Get her in the leather pants.
Leather pants?
Oh yeah, Diana Rigg was in that. She was what the hell was the name of that? Like not Mod Squad. What the hell was she in? Let me see what the hell. Yeah, there's one of her, I think, in leather pants. Because she was a Bond girl.
Yep, I got you here.
The Avengers, Diana Rigg from the Avengers, I think. Oh yeah, from the Avengers, which you should know. But it was she was a fucking straight up smoke. Yeah. So rest in peace, Angela Lansbury. And even my kids know her. Like they call my mom Nana, and Bridget calls her Nansbury.
Nansbury.
Yeah, it's stinker. So that's a nice one too. I like that.
Diana Rigg alive, or I believe she passed away. I think we lost her. Yes, we lost her in 2020, which kind of takes me to my point that I wanted to raise with Angela Lansbury. I think we've reached a point where we're not on E, and I wouldn't even say the gaslight is on, but we're at like a quarter tank for beloved childhood, like just warm memory celebrities in terms of them being alive. And I mean, you're obviously 10 years older than me, 50, half 100. And I'm no spring chicken myself though. But Angela Lansbury, that one hurt. Like again, we lost, the pandemic did a little to take a lot of these people out in terms of the older crew, people like Alex Trebek, even the younger people like DMX who, lived a little bit of a different life than some of these people. And I'm trying to think like, who's really left? We lost Omar from The Wire, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
So you even lost like a good chunk of younger guys that you love. You lost a lot of the older veterans along the way too. And I'm trying to think who's still in the mix. Regis, when did Regis die? I know he didn't die all that recently, right? But like that's just another guy that I always like knowing that Regis was somewhere in the world being happy. And it's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I met Regis a couple of times. I used to
Notre
coach his
Dame
daughter at flag football. So he used to come to the game and he'd be like, "Oh, this is my wife." I was like, "You mean your lovely wife, Joy?" I was a fan, but I think that there are certain guys, and you won't know about them until they go. But one that jumps out in my mind, which I think will bring the world to an end for something, is Willie Nelson turns 90, which turns 90 in April. So Willie Nelson is right there, and I don't know if you know about Willie Nelson, but he hasn't led the healthiest of lifestyles. So I think when he goes, that's huge. And even somebody, I don't mean to stick with the country western type thing, but someone as beloved as Dolly Parton, and believe me, I don't want to put these people on the Deadpool thing, but that will shock the world or affect the world, especially Dolly in the gay community where she's become an icon. And Willie just about with every pothead where he's become an icon. I think that'll affect us and the world more so than like Corey Feldman. If Corey Feldman was to all of a sudden bite it, like somebody like, I don't know. But I was sitting now and watching a clip on TikTok the other day, and I was dying. It was Gilbert Gottfried talking to Norm Macdonald, not realizing that these two guys are both dead, right? Like how that happened, and so there's a lot more coming down the pipe.
Bob Saget, right?
Bob Saget,
was a big
one. They were telling a story about Bob Saget. That was the whole. I'm telling you right now. I think that's why it became a popular TikTok. I believe it was the Bob Saget story being told by Norm Macdonald to Gilbert Gottfried, and I believe all three gentlemen are dead. I believe Gilbert's also dead. So, but it was absolutely surreal to think about it. So a lot more to come.
I'm going through the Barstool page here, and I just scrolled to January. So Bob Saget, we lost in January. Just looking at the headlines and scrolling, which, there's a lot of RIPs for people that didn't pass away. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, obviously that was a big one. John Clayton, the ESPN insider. I don't know how much you knew of him, but he was just someone that you loved having around. Sure. Like you said, Gilbert Godfrey along the way. Oh, Podfathers, our show, that came back. So, there is a chance some of these guys can come back, I suppose. We're alive at least as of this week. Internet Explorer, another legend of the game, gone. I hated Internet Explorer. Are you a big Internet Explorer guy? I don't know if you even really got into that.
Yeah, I have no preferences. That shit. I still use Safari.
Oh my God. I didn't realize this happened within 4 days of each other. We lost Bill Russell and Vince Scully within 4 days of each other. I just kind of blacked that out at some point along the way. Obviously the Queen, which I guess there's the RIP greeting may not be given to the Queen by everyone, in the world alone on this podcast. And then Coolio, we just lost Coolio recently too, because his fantastic voyage up to the sky. So who would you say, like, I think that was obviously the biggest moment of talking about the pandemic was when Tom Hanks got it. We're like, oh no, don't you dare take him. I feel like Tom Hanks is the one that you could put him alongside Dolly, Willie Nelson, that if we lose him, especially it feels like a little early, that one's just going to be gutted.
Yeah, I think a lot of times those ones for the younger people potentially passing away. And again, Tom Hanks is in good health. We're not putting it out there that he's, close to death. But, I think we'll have to – the market will close when Jimmy Carter dies, right? Jimmy Carter's still with us, correct? And, he's way up there. I think Tony Bennett is still with us, and he's up by, in his mid-90s.
Tony Danza's still doing well. We love Tony Danza too, right? If we're sticking with Tony's.
Bob Barker. Bob Barker's 96, isn't he? Is he dead?
Is he alive?
He's 98 years old, Bob Barker. He's still with us.
Shit.
We got a lot of wood to chop here, Clem.
Bob Barker may outlive Drew Carey, because Drew Carey, he's aging like Viserys, the fucking king, man. He's going down quick. That's the reason, kind of going full circle here. That's why I go to see acts like Hall and Oates, because I don't know how long I have to like Hall and Oates. I need two of them to stick around, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, most bands, if Axl goes or Slash goes, it's not the same as Guns N' Roses too. Mick Jagger, right? Keith Richards, all that kind of shit. But I it's still to this day haunts me. The one show I always heard was a great show to watch was Tom Petty. And I said, I'll get him next. It was always next year with Tom Petty. And then whenever, and always something came up, and then that was kind of just out of the blue. Nobody saw Tom Petty going. So I think we have to be very smart out there. So
you know what I said to myself too, now that you say it, I always want to see concerts now who aren't necessarily my favorite artists by any stretch of imagination, but someone that I could sing most of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, we were thinking about it, and this was years ago, and I said to Annie, you know what? I want to go see Phil Collins, because I think I could sing probably 10 Phil Collins songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the week after I said it, Phil Collins had announced that he was never going to tour again. He did one last tour where it was like $1,500 a ticket. I had missed it when it came by us. I was doing something, so I couldn't even overpay for it, thank God. And I'll never have the chance. Phil Collins is still alive and well, I believe. So, but I'll never get to see him in concert.
It's funny you say that, Large. He was on my list as well. He was in the rotation. It's him. The Offspring is one that they're younger, but I love the Offspring. Me and Eddie, this has become just kind of a rambling pod, but I apologize. But me and Eddie have talked about seeing the Offspring on my birthday. They were in Chicago, and I said, Eddie, if it wasn't the big 4-0, I think I could get out there. Now, as it turns out, I got sick on my birthday. I couldn't go out there. Right. However, little did I know, the weekend I was in the office for the Dozen tournament, me and Eddie were together that night. A mile away, the Offspring was playing in Manhattan. As me and Eddie were in the office just looking up trivia, we were researching like snacks and stuff for our trivia match the next day. We could have been out at the concert watching the Offspring. So that's basically the overarching thing. I said this after Tom Petty passed. Go, if you want to see an artist, go see them, because you don't know if they're old, they could die. They're fucking musicians. They could OD, whatever the hell could happen to them. Obviously, Coolio kind of just died out of the blue. So go see, whether it's maybe even sports, whatever it may be. Get out there and see your guys, because I wanted to see Phil Collins, and then I remember seeing the fucking story come out. Now, the thing is, Phil Collins, I feel like his ex-wife is like bleeding him dry, and she's driving him crazy.
Probably.
Maybe that'll get his ass back on the road. But I think I also heard like his shows don't inspire too much. I don't think they don't leave a lot to the imagination. It's kind of depressing.
Listen, Clem, I don't want to rub it in, but when they first came out, why don't you get a job? I was like, oh my God, I can relate to this. My friend had a girlfriend and I hate that bitch. I tell her every day, it goes right to Gone Away. Then they did Pretty Fly for a White Guy. I'm not a big fan of Pretty Fly for a White Guy. I just thought it was sort of hooky and blah, blah, blah. But,
thank you, Marcelletti, for the special cameo appearance.
Yeah.
It delights me. It delights me.
I'm just a sucker with low self-esteem. Eddie had a fuck. Imagine him. I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. That'd be awesome, right?
Eddie bobbing, like just Eddie being animated, bobbing his head, getting in the mosh pit. Like the guy, he's always so level, even keel.
Greatest. Dave
is like chewing him out over the Skype or whatever during the Dave Portnoy show. And he's just like, oh, all right, Dave, we'll work on that one. We'll just I couldn't imagine him, having anything higher than, the little blip on his heart chart there. So yeah, go check out when you said you were telling this story about wanting to see a person live, Large, I thought you were going to tell me you wanted to go see Bruno Mars. And I was like, I will take you. We'll have ourselves a show. I've been to 2 Bruno Mars shows. Best shows I've ever been to. Other than Up in Smoke, which was back in 1999, I believe. That was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Warren G, Nate Dogg, R.I.P., another person, R.I.P., Eminem when he was still on the come up. Just an absolute murderer's row for all us white boys in the suburbs. DMX at Hibachi Place was an all-time. That was number 3 on my personal list. But have you seen? I imagine you haven't seen a Bruno Mars show, have you, Large?
No, I would even take Bridge. Like,
she'd love it.
Oh, she would love that. And like as a new artist, but and you got to know Finn with his playing guitar now. Finn's into old school rock and roll. He just is. He loves it. So every now and again, he'll be playing Van Halen. I'd be like, man, I told you I saw those guys live in Chicago. I know, Dad. I know you said, you know what I mean? Or he's playing Nirvana. I'm like, I told you Blind Pig in Michigan. I saw him 1992. Oh, I know, because he can't see them. You know what I mean? Because Kurt Cobain got his whole face in front of the shotgun. Yep. Like there's no chance of going back to them. So I think that that frustrates him a little bit. I'm like, is that Led Zeppelin? He's like, you didn't see Led. I'm like, I know I didn't see Led Zeppelin. That's fine, but you just never know.
Please tell me you didn't see Biggie. Please tell me. I know you're a Brooklyn guy. You probably aren't. Okay, good, because that would have killed me if you saw Biggie too. Because I feel like Biggie didn't get a lot of concerts under his belt before his untimely. You also are raising, like, Finn has become like the lovable character of like a 90s. I don't want to say a but like a teenage movie, basically. He's swole. He's a football player, but he's into music and just has a heart of gold. You've raised yourself an absolute winner right now, big man. You're crushing it.
Yeah, they just hit me. I had to pick up Bridge. That's why I was late doing the podcast with you, because he has a concussion. He had a pretty rough game yesterday in football, so he came back and he had the headache and all that stuff. So he'd gotten better, closer. So T's and P's to the big man. Tough as nails, double teamed on the, he's played D line yesterday, double teamed them, and they were doing, running up the gut. And so a little bit of, he hasn't had a concussion since he was a toddler. And I stood him up on a kitchen counter. And as soon as I even gave him a little space, he ran and dove off. I remember, it was Christmas Day. We had to go to a fucking
your
hospital.
Birthday, no less.
Yes, my birthday. Yeah, ruined my birthday. So T's and P's to the big man. So I think that it's an interesting thing to put out there. And obviously with Chaps, I think he would have a different, call on it too. But maybe for next time, we should come up with a list of people that are bucket list potential people that you could still see. Not obviously who would you want to see more so than anybody else. Because I would put a lot of thought into that fucking thing,
I remember I didn't really broach the subject much, but when they had the Jeopardy tournament back in 2020, which was like, oh, this year is going to be a great year. This tournament is on fire. When they first announced it, I had kind of raised something with Jen, who was the old head of content here, but maybe me and Kevin going out and trying to cover it live because it was kind of a big deal. I remember
100%.
And I wanted to see Alex Trebek in person. And looking back now, I should have just paid for my own ticket if they weren't going to send me out there and said, fuck the content, just blog from there and then see Trebek if I could. And obviously we didn't know what was going to happen between the world and then obviously him. So yeah, maybe we'll make a top 5 bucket list people for everybody and and then we'll throw a graphic out there, get everyone else's list. I'll put a note in that there right now. Speaking of lists, you had a question for me before.
I have a question for you. As a child, what was the best thing that could hit the mailbox addressed to you? What's the best thing that could hit a mailbox for you as a child growing up?
For me, it was the Toys R Us Christmas gift book where it had all the toys and you could circle whatever you wanted, start dreaming about it being in your room. That was number one. Because again, the internet didn't exist, so I couldn't just go on here and look at what I wanted. Joey's
listening from the rafters and he put East Bay Catalog. And I don't think that's true. I don't think when Joe was a child, I probably didn't preface it right, but I mean a young child. And what your answer was, and the reason that I'm stunned that that's your answer is because, I don't know, did you used to get birthday cards from your mom and dad, like from your grandma, and they'll have $25 in there or 20 tucked in, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess cards are up there too. You get the little cash or whatever occasionally, which was so much nicer than getting a check.
Right. Or do you ever mail in box tops from a fucking cereal box, and then 6 months later you'd get the decoder ring in the mail? Those things were also when those things came in the mail. We're so spoiled now. I get an Amazon package 5 times a week, but
Large, I see the Prime guy in my neighborhood 3 times a day.
Yes.
The Prime is here 5X, UPS, FedEx, and whoever else you want to put combined. And I'm off the beaten path a little, but there is the FedEx, the Prime guy, you could tell me they have a fucking headquarters 2 houses down, and I would believe you. My wife every single day, oh, I don't remember what I ordered today. And you just put it in, you keep it going. You're 100% right.
And I think that my generation particularly didn't have that. If you had a package come to the house, it was a big deal. So we'd get packages around Christmas from Irish relatives, and it was always the Irish chocolate that we liked. So there were certain things. But you're right. Number one with the bullet for me was the Sears catalog. It wasn't the Toys R Us catalog. But again,
what were you doing with that Sears catalog, Large?
Yeah, so I would go to the big woman's section, and I would beat off to the bra ads. Malane Bryant fucking catalogs, you couldn't touch it. Those things could walk home. But, but the Sears catalog, people didn't know, was a Bible. was a Bible, and then a good percentage of that Bible was dedicated to toys. And you'd go through, like Clem was saying, and you'd have your post-it notes and something, and you'd be writing in the, the margin, this is for Terrence, this is for me, and it was the Christmas Bible from Sears was the greatest thing in the world. And then as we got older, like it became maybe when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition hit the box.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's a little bit older, like Joey with his East Bay thing.
The Tyra Banks issue, I was dry by the end of that time, by the end of that week, just dry. I
like
was,
dust.
Yeah. I looked like Thanos had snapped me away.
So now the kids don't have that. They don't have that whole deal because if they see it on TV, then they can go online and take a look at it. Or if they're on social media, there'll be ads that'll run on social media. But as far as having it all in one spot, there really isn't that much of it for particularly for kids who are starting to get a little bit older. This hit my fucking mailbox this week. Did you get one of these yet?
Oh, we did. That is the Amazon toy and gift guide, right? Over 600 toys and gifts right there. And it's paper.
Clem, I love this is a brick and mortar paper, and it's all fucking toys. It's wall to wall. It is, and they have like a thing in here with stickers, so you can take.
Oh, they got
like
stickers.
Sienna could be the fox. You know what I mean? And then versus AJ being the owl. Then you can color in at the back. There's a little bit of a a thing. It's got everything. I saw this and I immediately went and put it next to the toilet because I'm hoping that even though my kids don't use toys anymore, my kids have aged out of, I'm assuming everything within this, with the exception of maybe board games, because we always get a board game in and around Christmas. But I'm assuming that my kids, and there's the wish list that you can run out right in the beginning. So, so you put your wish list. I'm assuming that if they just sit down there when they're taking some sort of prolonged dump and they look through that, it's got to make their heart smile also. I love this. I haven't been this nostalgic in a while, so much so that I bought a little Amazon stock because of it. Because I'm a sucker. I did the McDonald's Happy Meal, the adult Happy Meal, and I did a review of it. It is awful. I wouldn't eat that shit. I threw it all in the garbage. The box was awful. The toy was awful. But I respect the fact that McDonald's was taking Cactus Flea Market, doing the whole deal, and I think it keeps them relevant because they're a fucking dinosaur, but they still managed to get Travis Scott, Cactus Flea, the whole deal. So I like it, even though I don't like McDonald's. This I like. And I like Amazon. Like it's a perfect marketing tool for a perfect company that is ruining American businesses. But nonetheless, I love that move.
First of all, like you said, with the McDonald's Happy Meals, you can't find those things in stock. I looked all around the burbs. I looked in the city when I went in the other day for my slow march to death with Frank because I was me and Kevin were going to review something for Snacking Off. You can't find them anywhere. And it's just nice to know that even though Jeff Bezos killed Toys R Us, he brought back the catalog that Toys R Us, and then, like you said, the Sears catalog for the older people. It's just nice to know it still exists. We got it upstairs, and the kids love it because again, they're at the age where they, I think Bridge obviously is the youngest of years. She's out of it. Mm-hmm. There's like a mid range between Sienna and Bridge. They can go on their iPhone and see whatever they want. Sienna doesn't really have access to the internet like that. So that catalog they can look at for hours. The Lego store, you go to the Lego store, they have catalogs right by the door. You take it home with you, and it's telling $500 Millennium Falcon, $100 Thanos gauntlets and stuff like that for sale. So there is something nice, as the old baseball dinosaurs say, about a little ink under the fingers when you're looking at what toys you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's like the racing forms. If you go to the track, like that whole thing.
Scholastic Book Fair, right? I am so happy that Scholastic Books, they still have those razor thin paper order sheets. You could go through it. And then obviously the book fair, which I think is next week for Sienna, that I know you used to volunteer for. I can still smell that room full of books, fresh books straight out of China or wherever they print them. I could smell it as if it was, 1991 right now. The absolute best. So,
and the wealthy kids would get the Guinness Book of World Records, which was the worst book because it just changed for the following year. It became outdated as soon as you walked out of the book fair. Yep. You know what I mean? But Francis got it every year.
I had this conversation with Robbie. We were talking about Andor, the new Star Wars show, and we were saying the three, like the holy trinity for rubbish for your brain that your parents were hoping you were going to come home somehow smarter from the book fair, and you would come home with the Guinness Book of World Records. You would come home with Mad Libs, which would have curses in it. By like the third grade, everyone's putting curses in.
Sure.
And then a joke book. And there was nothing that beat that joke book. I remember mine had a green cover with yellow writing, and I could just look at the same knock-knock jokes and laugh at them for days at a time.
Oh.
And I think everyone who worked for Barstool had to have a joke book at one point or another. At least the funny ones here. There's not a lot of us left right now.
There's three of us left. And then you go up. The show. It was sort of like the old Wheel of Fortune, which people probably don't remember. But Wheel of Fortune used to not be cash prizes. So if you won $12,000 in the Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak would then take you to this living room that was filled with crap. And you'd be like, I'd buy the porcelain dog for $300. I'll get the pool table for $700. How much do I have left? I'll spend that on the brand new Hoover vacuum. And then once you got to the point where you had like $63 left, Pat would be like, and the remaining $63 is on like a Neiman Marcus gift card. Like that's what they did. You had to buy shit. And so it was the same thing at the book fair. These kids, when I worked it, they were like, listen, my mom sent me with an envelope with $30 in it. I said, okay, let's go. I walk around, we get a couple of Mad Libs, blah, blah. And he'd be like, what do I have left? I was like, you have 61 cents. He's like, can I do 2 erasers? I'll be like, 2 erasers.
Always the erasers.
2 30-cent erasers or pennies you change. Tell your mom, thanks so much. Because you're trying to extract as much out of him. And then you have some poor bastard who comes to the fucking counter. He puts up, I said, whoa, big haul today. And so I go beep, 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 beep. And I have the kid. I'm like, all right, this is $86, my friend. He's like, all right, cool. I'm like, where is it? He's like, he thought I was going to bill his mom. I was like, oh, no. I was like, and I didn't want to embarrass him in front of his friends. I was like, you know what you are? You're the wish list guy. Hold on a second. So I had Andy take over the thing. I wrote down all the books. I was like, so since it's a 2-day book fair, you give this to your mom tonight. Tell her 8641 if you want all of them. If not, she can pick anything. You come back tomorrow. You find me, and let's do this wish list. All right. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I should have been like, get the fuck out of here, you deadbeat.
Nerd. You remind me of my pal Clem, you poor bastard. Exactly. Looking for government handouts here, pal. Oh, man. That's fucking great, man. Yeah. That's great. Also wanted to, that was the other thing I wanted to hit on. We had a mailbag from our boy Flegs here, who is longtime listener and multiple time suggestion guy. And we've been on his podcast, great podcast as well.
The Anomalies, I believe. The Anomalies with, right? He's with my man, the Vanilla Gorilla. They're all good guys on it, to be honest with you.
Vanilla Gorilla, I went to tweet him the other day. He unfollowed me. Isn't that some fucking shit?
Whoa.
I went on the pod.
Well, let me find out. Did he unfollow me also? There's no way he unfollowed me.
No way he unfollowed you. He loves you, Large. I
love him.
Think he just likes me.
I love him
too.
Vanilla. It was VUH, right?
Yeah, VUH. Vanilla Gorilla.
Tanner Johnson, who I'm following.
Lovely cheese man.
The Anomalies pod.
I follow the pod as well.
Dairy guy up there in Wisconsin, and he follows me, and I follow him. He's a good
pod too. Great pod.
Vanilla Gorilla, VUHNI, if you guys want to follow him. And he follows me. He does not follow you, huh?
Broke my heart, man. I don't know what I said, what I did. Maybe it was too many Mets tweets. Maybe it was not enough Mets tweets. Maybe the Frank the Tank guy. Maybe he's a Frank the Tank guy. I was like, I don't like the way he's talking about Frank the Tank here. So I just happened to notice this. I was going to tweet him one day. I saw he didn't follow me. I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to tweet you now. So
wow, you did not make the cut.
But our boy Flegs, who I believe still follows me and a good listener of the show, we have to answer this one to him because I know he has some stuff coming on here. I hope it didn't already happen. Guys, I need some help. I live in Indy, and the panic is setting in. For fall break, we're going with some family members down to Disney for 3 days at the park. The rest of the week, we're staying at an Airbnb with a pool, game room, etc. Sounds good, right? Not so fast, my friends. We're fucking driving. With no stops, it's 16 plus hours. We're leaving Friday the 14th. Oh, perfect timing. Perfect timing. Wow. We're leaving Friday the 14th in the evening and driving overnight. I'm guessing it's October 14th. Mm-hmm. Then at the end, we're driving back. How do I not drive the van off a cliff somewhere on the way? We just bought 2 Switches to surprise them with before we leave. First of all, you got to love buying 2 Switches for your kids after or before you even take them to Disney, which is going to be about the price of 100 Switches. First of all, shout out to my boy Flags. Having a van, that just means you're a dad who knows what he's doing here. I appreciate it. The gas mileage is going to absolutely wreck you. But at this point, Disney, Switch, all that budget, you're going to be broke anyway. So first of all, good work on the car there. What do you think our boy Flag should do here to get him through? Have you done, like, what is the longest drive you did with kids that were, say Mick was at most 5th, 6th grade, and then obviously you have the 2 younger ones from there?
My problem here, I don't know the answer to that, Clem, because I've never done long drives. Like when we would go to Colonial Williamsburg, right? So Colonial Williamsburg would be 7 hours away. So I'd go about 3.5, which gets me into like Baltimore. Then we'd go see an Orioles game, stay the night in a hotel, and then continue down to Williamsburg. Then on the way back, we'd stop in Washington, D.C., see a Nationals game, stay the night, then come back. You know what I mean? Like we've always broken it up. I just did 7.5 hours by myself down to West Virginia in the rain. And so if him and his wife were whacking that up, they would probably be doing the same amount of time that I did. And 7.5 hours by myself in the rain is I'd rather that than be 7.5 hours in the rain with my wife and kids.
Yep.
No dig on Annie by any stretch of imagination, because we'd break up the driving and I love the shit out of her. But I just that 16 hours straight, he's doing himself a favor by already getting the Switches, but he's got to do himself another favor and get some sort of tranquilizer. He's got to have those fucking kids drugged to the gills, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't do that. So yeah, you're on the right road, Flags, but you got to go one further and drug the shit out of fuck them kids. Drug the shit out of those kids.
All right, so that's usually Large has 2 prescriptions for anything with kids and travel. I've realized one is drugs, which I correct. Yep. And the 2 is money. Throw money at the problem. It'll go away. You've already done it with the Switch. You're going to get it with the Disney. However, that trip back, that 16 hours when everyone had like a few days at Disney, they're mad they're leaving Disney, they're going back to school, you're going back to work, you're tired, you've probably been on each other's nerves for God knows how long. The pool game room can only do so much to like break up the monotony. That I don't know. That I feel like you're going to have to get another Switch game, get them Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda, do something, a good game that will just zone them out. They'll be absolute zombies for that 16-hour period. But as long as they're zombies, they're not in your shit. I'm not even looking forward to like the 2-hour flight I got to take with my little kids to Disney. So
maybe get the meltdown out there quick too. Like maybe as soon as you get in there, wig out to the first fucking thing that happens. To set that tone, when your dad gets mad at you in the car and then everyone shuts up, like maybe about 2 or 3 hours into that, like even if somebody says, "Can I go to the bathroom?" Be like, "Why you fucking? I'll turn this car." You reach back to give him a pinch on the fucking leg, like maybe totally overreact to where the kids will be like, "Holy shit, we better straighten up and fly right here." It's
Large. Our last trip that was I don't even know where we went. I think we went to I think it was the Delaware trip. I threatened to turn the car around at the first stop sign we hit, which is still in my neighborhood. It's literally you could spit on my house from how far it was, because they're like, "Are we there yet?" And honestly, I don't even. AJ might have just been trolling because he's at that point now where he knows. But I was like, "I'm turning this goddamn car around right now," and I just am a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker. When it comes to these trips, I now know why every dad kind of has that like.
Yeah,
he's my friend calls his dad the time bomb because he just doesn't know when it's going to explode.
100%. Like have them fear you.
Yeah,
like, this isn't the Bronx tale. Would you rather be loved or feared? There is no question here. If they don't fear you, they will take. If they smell blood in the water, like get out there. Like you know what I mean. Like maybe stop for a snack and have. Somebody will inevitably, you'll say, "Hey, listen, pick out 2 things," and somebody will inevitably come here with 3 and be like, "I fucking told you. We just got through spending thousands. This is it. I'm calling Santa. Weaponize Santa, weaponize the police, weaponize God." Right? Remember those?
Yep. The big 5, I think.
Yeah, the principal and then the parents.
Yep.
That's what we did, and weaponized them all because this is the time. Like, you know, when we speak about certain things where, hey, listen, you're not going to have this opportunity. Perhaps, again, I'm starting to sound like Eminem when he gets up there to rap. You know what I mean? If you have one shot, would you take it? This is the time to be a fucking hardo. Save yourself a lot, because he'll be scarred from this otherwise. You don't come back the same man that you left.
That's you absolutely nailed it, my friend. Absolutely nailed it. The only other thing that from when I was a kid, that when we would go on, we used to drive to Florida occasionally. My sister had bad ear infections, so we couldn't fly. So because it would hurt her so much, and it was the absolute worst. It would be 24 hours. I've learned that no matter who it is, that cars smell the same, no matter which humans you're with after like the first 12 hours or so. It was the absolute where I could still smell the paper mills in Jersey and Georgia, North Carolina. North Carolina is the longest fucking state in the goddamn union, or at least it feels like it. What my mom used to always do is she would pack us, like, we'd each get our own little book bags, and you get like a little, do you remember those? I think I've mentioned them on the show. It would be like the magic eye or magic, it would call it, it wasn't magic eye. That's the awesome things where you stared at and the pictures came out. It was like invisible ink. You scratch it and then something would appear. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? So yes. She would have little gifts like that. And obviously this new crew is into screens and stuff, but just having a couple, we get like a pack of Mentos, and you would be like, oh man, I can't wait to, you know, crack open those fruit flavored Mentos and shit like that. Get some gum, a couple pieces of food, candy, whatever it may be. And then, you know, a couple little trinkets to play with, maybe a new cheap little toy. Go to the Amazon book, see what they have for sale there.
But also the favorite blanket, the favorite pillow.
Yes.
When we did Virginia, Annie put the seats back. We had like, you know, the elongated whatever Suburban. And so when she put the third row down, she was able to put an air mattress back there. We moved all the bags up into one of the seats, and then two of the kids at a time would go and lay down, you know, with their pillows and blankets. Like, you know, so it was extremely bearable. My only problem is that it makes you want to go back there and lay down too. You know, I think it's, and I've floated this by you. They should have something, particularly in minivans, where you get a divider, like a New York City cabbie, where you can all of a sudden put up the one-way stuff so they can't see forward, the kids. They can have their radio and all that stuff in the back, and you can have your radio up front so you're not listening to whatever the hell kids listen to nowadays, Bluey or something like that. You know, if the wife decides to get a little bit randy, she wants to give you a little knuckle shuffle, none of the kids know about it. You can keep the air conditioner up high or down low without somebody fucking complaining. Like, there's an argument for two-zone vans and cars, particularly for people who have kids.
The STFU wall should be like an optional upgrade in every single minivan in the world, or at least anything that is a family style thing. My wife told me when she used to go on trips, her dad used to, and this is before the, you know, time where air mattresses were ever, they just take a mattress and just put it in the back. Right. She's like, looking back, that was very dangerous. And I saw that I think, was it VW? Someone has an electric car coming out where you can fold your chair into a bed and it'll just drive you. You could turn it into a conference room. I think Clemmer blogged it. And it was one of those things that obviously for the family side of things, if you're able to put the back seat into a bed and then a big old wall pops out so you don't hear a fucking thing those little assholes are saying or doing or screaming, that sounds, I could drive for hours. Like, just think about, again, I was going to go to a casino, watch a bunch of old guys sing songs that are a billion years old. And you know what? It was going to be the best day of my life because I wasn't going to have to hear my kids. Right. Again, I had to deal with a 45-year-old child screaming in my ear, but nonetheless, it would have been the absolute best thing ever. So our boy Flags, best of luck out there. Throw money and any kind of drugs. Robitussin, I believe, is kind of the old school one. I don't know what else is out there. I know, like, they have started to sell melatonin for kids now. It's in gummy form. We give them to AJ occasionally too. It knocks him out. He calls them sleepy vitamins.
So sleepy vitamins.
Yeah,
fuck it, man. If you can't find it, give them a little Jesus juice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, kids can tolerate a fucking Malibu Bay Breeze, you know, if they really want to. If you make it correct, a kid can do a nice little Bay Breeze, at least one. You know, a kid gets to fucking Disney's all hung over. You know,
puking on the teacups.
Yeah, exactly. They got a stomach virus.
Dad, the room's spinning and we're not even moving right now. So as always, we got to this point of the episode where we're talking about drugging your kids or just basically robbing them to death. So that means we'll see you guys next week. Stay safe and stay sane.